Brian? Aaron?
Yeah.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is, oh, and by the way, when we get to the visitor section, if you plan to share, please just state your name so that the borough, person who takes the minutes can be sure that she has that information. Thank you. Next is the engineer's report, item 4 on the agenda. Brian, thanks for being here, and thank you for the calendar you provided us. That was nice.
So I only actually have one item here I wanted to just update you on. You have my engineer's update. There's a couple of items there that you could consider at some point, but I want to talk for just a minute about the Pennsylvania Avenue roadway project. So that's the one section we did between Division and Jefferson. That paving was completed on the week of the 25th of November. And there were, as we were coming to the end of the year, some issues with making sure that we were installing materials that met the criteria for weather, for temperature, and things of that nature, as we were really late in the season. And so there were a couple of items, the paving, the line striping, and sealing of the joints in the sidewalk had to be done at a time when the temperature was within specifications, so we had to push that into the following week. So there will be a minor time extension, but it doesn't really impact the project to any extent. We also had talked previously to you all about the discussion with the paving and the brick pavement, and that there was additional costs associated with it. We're working through those details with the contractor now. We believe that the final number is gonna be less than what was estimated originally, so I hope to have a number for you here very soon. I'll pass that along to council as soon as we have it. But I believe that number that was provided was a little bit on the conservative side, and we'll see, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that it comes out a little bit better than those numbers. So, having said that, we're working with Huntington County Planning Department to finalize everything related to your CDBG funding. The contractor's continuing to submit final payrolls, any remaining documentation. So we should have the entire project wrapped up from a administrative side by the end of January, and we'll be able to provide that information to you all. The grant that paid for it has to have all the work completed by April, so we'll be well ahead of all of that. So the one item that we do know will be warranty work. They have basically a 1-year warranty on the project. The line striping that was installed did not hold. So it did have a little bit of an issue there, so the contractor's gonna have to come back in the spring in better weather and reinstall the line striping for the crosswalks. So other than that, I think they did an excellent job. I think we're all very happy with the way it turned out. It was very late in the season, and it was a little nerve-wracking to make sure that everything got completed, but it did, and I hope you all are happy with that.
Question, you made mention at the last meeting that if the additional little blip issue that caused additional monies wasn't covered by this contract, that there was a possibility that there was other funding with the county that could potentially cover it.
So they looked through to see with DCED on that, and it does not appear that there is another source that would cover that. They were not, there was no funds available. They've been trying to do everything they could with their various CDBG projects to see if there was a little bit extra, like another project didn't fully utilize their funding. That was not the case. So unfortunately, that's not good news necessarily, but that's where we're at. So, but they did everything they could attempt to try to do to help out the borough with that.
In terms of the stormwater management ordinance, do you know where that stands?
So I think we had a discussion about that in the past. I think you all need to reconstitute your committee, and
we have a committee, right? I'm sorry.
It was just myself and you that went to the stormwater meetings.
Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
Yeah, so I think that was sent along for review and asked for feedback. I think at this point where you stand as a council, you need to reconstitute your committee. We can provide that again, and we can start again to make sure that we're, bringing it to the finish line.
Two thoughts, and Councilman, is it something that should be under the ordinance committee, or is it something that should be a participant with, the streets committee? Is Aaron here? I heard his voice. Aaron, would it be beneficial to have someone from our streets department participate in a stormwater ordinance development?
Yeah,
Or
because
yourself.
eventually you're gonna have to start dealing with the MS4 stuff, which is the stormwater treatment, which is bigger cities have to go through now, but it'll eventually trickle down into smaller communities, but yeah, somebody should be up on top of it.
Okay, so do you wanna designate someone, or do you wanna be part of that committee?
Let me talk to the guys and see if anybody's interested in it first.
Okay,
Okay.
that's just my initial thought, and maybe someone from our ordinance committee, since we have an ordinance committee. Sharon, you're the chair of ordinance right now, Sue is you.
A whole lot about that kind of stuff. But I'll help with what I can.
Okay, at least we have an idea here of people. Okay.
Let my mouth and see what everybody could be, whoever wants to meet.
I think that's good.
Might as well, you know.
Sure, absolutely. We can certainly come down, we can give the broad overview of where we are at this point, provide the ordinance, and ask for the feedback that we had asked previously, and we can move forward there, so.
That's okay. As we speak now, we are having some problems with our stormwater issues, right?
Absolutely, I think you have, like many older boroughs, you have areas that are combined with, sanitary. You have a system that's well over 100 years old, and it definitely needs, some attention. But this stormwater ordinance will only help direct future development. So they're interrelated, but they're separate at the same time.
But there's a need, period.
Absolutely, to not make your situation worse.
And on your list of projects on here, is there one in particular that you think would be most likely that we should be focusing on, relative to the spending of funds in the coming year and grant opportunities?
Well, I think the self-storage building was one that I think I don't know that you resubmitted your LSA application. So that's one that in the next round, I think you should strongly consider, because other than some staff time, I don't believe you have much in the way of costs associated with a reapplication.
Okay.
So, I had talked to Taylor as well, and we can certainly provide an update to the estimate, and that's not something that we would
Okay.
do at any cost.
Okay, thank you.
That would be one that I definitely think that you should consider moving forward. Grant opportunities, the Bricktown Unity Trail, the next time the Transportation Alternative Set Aside grant application comes around, which would be in another year and a half at this point. So keeping that in the front of your mind here moving forward, that's something that you have submitted several times.
Right.
And it really only needs updated estimates and maybe some refresh. It will not take a lot of effort to resubmit that and do the presentation. So, you've already done a lot of the legwork on some of these. I think it's just maintaining the focus on resubmitting. They'll see, the grant funding agencies will see this several times, and now they'll be able to, know that you're serious and that you're interested, and you have a likely possibility of success.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is visitors requesting to speak. We have, Deb Boozle on the agenda. Deb, are you here? Oh, I didn't know that was your last name. You have have a 3-minute time limit, just so you know.
I'm Deb Zerba-Boozle, and I need to address some issues on Water Street. They implemented, ticketing for people parking on the sidewalk, which it needed to be done, but there's still a big problem on Water Street with the speeding. When they put the bypass in, everybody coming off the bypass comes off Chestnut Street, up Division Street, and cuts onto Water Street. So now we've got school buses, high school kids, anybody that's coming off of Chestnut Street, speeding through Water Street. My suggestion is to make that street one way from Franklin Street to Division Street. That will eliminate the buses and all the kids coming through Water Street speeding. And that's why, and I totally understand why everybody was parking on the sidewalk. They didn't want their vehicles to get smashed. If you sat on the porch and watched those vehicles speeding through Water Street, and if one of those vehicles got hit, it was going through the house. Somebody was gonna get killed. It doesn't matter, something was gonna happen. Number one, it would eliminate some wide turns on either end. The end on Franklin Street, as it stands right now, school buses have to make a wide turn, and the vehicles coming around. The stop sign says if you're making that right turn, keep moving. You can't, because people coming down Franklin Street turning into Water Street, they can't, it's impossible. If they make it one way, I think it would slow down the traffic, it would eliminate the traffic coming off of Division Street. And I think we would see a difference. That is an old street. A lot of the houses have the old pole bends underneath the front porch. All it takes is one car to get hit, and it's gonna collapse those houses. My family has owned that house for 106 years. And I am one of the few people, other than Jacobellas, that still have property on that street. I would like to see it made one way. It has to be done. There's no other solution. You started something, but ticketing people, you started something, and it's like going backwards. Make it one way. It's a state road. That is a state road. That's all there is to, that used to be the main drag. We don't need, eliminate the school buses going through there, just the ones that have to have a pickup and drop off. Only the delivery trucks, fuel oil trucks, that home heating. We only need the necessities through that street. We don't need logging trucks going through. We don't need tractor and trailers going through that street. There's some parts of that street that are hollow. And all that excess traffic. Ambulance can't even stop there. We had an incident when my mother was still living. They couldn't even get her out of the house because the cars were parked on the sidewalk. There is too many things going on. Make it one way. Make it safe again. What you're doing right now is not even really putting a dent into it. It may be helping, but you're just making the neighbors mad down there. I mentioned that before, but I was told if it's a state road, we can't do that.
Why not?
Because I wanted to make it one way.
Why not?
It has to go through the state.
Who plows that street? Does a borough plow that street? Does the state pay you to plow that street?
Yes.
Then why can't it be made one way?
She's got a good point, we can put this in the committee.
I think it should go to the streets committee is where it should go, so
We
they
did
can
about
consult.
8 years ago, if I remember right, 8 years ago, the same thing come up, and dropped the ball and never followed through with it.
Something has to be done, or a car is going to be hit.
Do
And
they
it's
not
gonna
have
go-
any alternative parking? They don't have off-street parking behind their house? or
Yeah,
anything?
just the one side where there's parking now. You have to do something before somebody gets hurt,
We got
or
pictures of that,
somebody's house
so-
Oh,
is
I've
hit.
seen that, yeah, I've seen that.
So there's-
So I think probably the best thing is to refer it to our streets committee so that they can take up the issue. Is that you, Steve? Are you
Yes.
still the chair? Okay, will you put that on your list, please?
And it is important, the school buses go through there every day.
They speed
Two-way
through
traffic.
there. It's two
Ms.
ways.
Price is gonna talk, her car got hit, so speaking from an insurance aspect, you gotta turn insurance in, every time your car is hit. So, my grandma owned the house that they live in, so there's been parking on that side of the street, on the sidewalk, I'm 53, since I was a toddler. So, the other suggestion I would make, I don't know what the pages are, but someone shared my post on the Mountain View Partnership page. So if the borough is gonna enforce an ordinance on New Year's Day and have the police force going out and ticket, I think there should be some discretion. I love the police force, but there should be some discretion. Hopefully they weren't out on the holiday just to start ticketing people on Water Street. Because, those are some hard-working guys. I know I always call them, so hopefully we don't have them going out just to ticket citizens, residents of Mount Union on the holiday.
And they usually
That
catch
wouldn't come from
speeders.
Borough Council, that's something that the police department would decide, just so you know
Just a
that.
calm, yeah, just a calm.
Yeah.
I love everybody up there.
They
Just a
usually
calm.
catch speeders on that street. They park down on Franklin, as if you were going into the shoe factory parking lot. They used to catch speeders years ago. And it's not just the cars that are speeding, it's also the school bus drivers going through that street. I've sat on
Too
the
narrow for
porch.
two-way traffic.
Yeah,
Did you call the school?
no, I've sat on that porch, even when my mother was living, and after she's passed away, and I've just watched. And I know it has to be made one way.
So I'm gonna close the subject since you've said that, and we've heard you, and we're gonna refer it to our streets committee and take it very seriously, and I mean that. So I appreciate you coming here to talk about it, Dale. Okay, thank you.
Something has to be done.
Is this on the subject of,
Yes.
of that street being,
Yes.
okay, go ahead, why don't you go first quickly?
So I got 2 tickets, my husband's car and my car, and there was 2 boxes checked on there. So, to me, that really raised a red flag because it was $70 total. I called to the dispatch for Huntington for someone to come or call me, at least, and ask and answer the question of why there was 2 boxes. It looks like it's just a $70 ticket, which is unfair because everyone else on my street got a $40 ticket. So why couldn't someone call me and just verify what it was and the reason why it was? We were told that it was posted in the newspaper, which it wasn't. And if you're gonna do that, give us some grace. I've been living at that address for 8 years. You've seen, the cops have rode past me several times. If that's a problem, say something to me. Give me the grace of notifying me, you're not allowed to do that. I'll
Thank
move
you.
my car.
Thank you. I will tell you, I thought at the last meeting, we had a discussion about this, and that the police indicated that they were gonna educate the public. Was there any education done, or any?
No.
No.
Did
Not
New Year's
at all.
Day,
How do
they
you
gave
make
out
it
tickets.
everybody when the law explicitly states how to do it?
Because
And I
we
know
didn't,
what you-
because we didn't do it for many years. We didn't ticket people
I know
along that
what you're
street.
saying, but that's kind of like, kind of impossible.
No, you put it in the newspaper, when you reach out to the Daily News, and then you put it on the
The
Facebook.
Mountain Borough website, the police website.
I would say that we're gonna
Larry's here.
Go talk to
I'm
people.
from Collinsburg and Lewistown. We get north, we
So I'm
get.
gonna bring
Go
us
talk
all
to
back
people.
to our meeting, so there's one person speaking, so let. Yeah, you need to state your, can you state your name?
Felicia Trice Richardson.
Thank you.
And I also wanted to know, we put in an appeal on this, cause I'm not paying it.
Well,
I-
so,
I need
my-
to
and my
verify.
suggestion to you is that you also, you're saying you called the dispatch and you couldn't get the Mount Union Police.
They didn't call me back or
Okay.
come to my house.
Mark,
Because
do
I
they call
had-
people back when they have questions? I don't know what the practice is.
Yeah, if
Can
you call
someone call her?
dispatch, if you call dispatch and you request to speak to an officer, our dispatcher is supposed to relay that to us.
Okay,
So-
well, they didn't,
What night was
because
that?
he told us, it was the same night we got our tickets.
Last Wednesday?
The same night.
Okay, well, I was
And
working,
they were the ones that stated, oh, are you calling, do you live on Water Street?
right,
And I
So
was
my,
like, yeah.
my suggestion right now to you is, can you give your name and phone number to, Corporal Marsh so that he can have somebody call you to discuss it with you? Does that sound fair?
That's fine.
Okay, young lady, go on in your name.
My name is Tracy Jenkins, and I also live on Water Street. And part of the problem that we have with Water Street is the back alley. We do have a back alley that we can park in. I have a carport. We have a cement slab in our backyard that we can park on as well. Me and my husband were fortunate enough to have that. But when you come down through the alley, there are tremendous large potholes that are getting bigger and bigger throughout time. They have not been fixed within the past couple of years. The snow, the ice is tearing it up even more. The factory that's down back is great. I love seeing people coming in, building their businesses within Mount Union. That's what we want. But also at the same time, whenever they bring their tractor and trailers in, they park directly on the alley to unload their trucks and to load their trucks with their supplies. And I get caught behind the truck several times whenever I have to take my children to school in the morning, and I have to sit there and wait for them to unload their truck and to do whatever it is they're gonna do with their truck before I can go through the alley. And then their dumpster that they also have it sitting there is extremely close to the alley. We're actually even going up into the neighbor's yard where she used to have 3 or 4 feet of grass from her fence to the alley, and now she has half a foot because we have to go up in her yard to try to get around the dumpster and other cars that are coming and just getting the scraps out of the dumpsters.
So the dumpster's on the alley too?
It's very close. I don't know, like,
Right on the side of it.
yeah, it's like right on the side. So if you're not even going into the neighbor's yard, you're gonna hit the dumpster with your
Because
mirror.
there's no reason we can't discuss this with Curtis
Right.
Plus, I think.
Yeah,
that's
so
what
if
it's called,
something could be done with the dumpsters and
Yeah.
the alley could be fixed, it would be a lot easier for the people to park on Water Street down back.
right? Thank you for your
You're
input.
welcome.
I
Appreciate it
actually,
very much.
I actually met her, I talked with them, and I talked extensively with Rodney, and we're gonna work with the other. The other problem is,
With Rodney?
yeah,
Okay, did you speak with Aaron, because Rodney's always your one.
yes, he said that we're gonna get together, and I talked with Aaron. Anyway, the other thing is, she didn't mention it.
Hold on a second, I'm gonna ask, Kathy, I'm gonna ask you guys, we'll have one meeting and you can chat if you don't mind,
When
sorry.
you turn left and you back into that alley and you go back into her place, you can't see that light is so bright. I had to go like this and.
Oh, from curves.
Yeah,
Oh.
so Rodney said he has a good relationship with them, we're gonna work with them and
Okay.
see if we get this all worked out.
Thank you so much, that would be really helpful.
Sure.
Okay,
Question-
sounds good.
Question for understanding. It's the police that's distributing these tickets,
I assume it's the police
The police and code enforcement.
and code enforcement officers,
police and the code enforcement.
Correct.
because that's part of code enforcement's
So
responsibility.
that's what I was thinking. Well, why you need police? I don't know.
Well, he's saying either one can do it, depending on the hours they're working, is what I'm understanding.
I have a question about my ticket, because it's on appeal, and it's 7 days.
Right, I'm gonna ask you to give your number to him so you two can discuss it. Is that okay with you?
Well, I sent it to the mayor, because that's what it was supposed to be done.
There you go.
It was directed to the mayor. There's
There you
an
go.
appeal for that.
I'll be in contact with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Okay,
again, I just wanted to comment, because again, now, she's so worried because her car got hit, no one called her back, says to file an insurance claim. So now they're driving up in the back of the house.
And we
So
don't
now
have
I
a way
guess
to
I gotta
park.
spend money, just, I just was up there last week, and I think I paid about 20,000 in property taxes, including my own, so I would like some courtesy from whoever came up with this plot to get money to tax our town. I'd like some courtesy where you email me something, just like we do, that like they do in Holiday Park, send me out a letter. Lewistown sends me letters, Huntington sends me letters, if there's any action, towards the property. Cause now they're driving up, which I told them they can, but I don't like them driving up in the yard. Really, it's not a parking lot, but I guess now, towards them, I'll put a paved parking lot in there for them.
oh, because they have no choice of where to park.
Yeah, because they keep getting clipped around the corner, and again, I'm not talking about the loaners, but I mean, he has a business there, I want him to have his business. So there's cars parked on this side of the street, I live right around the corner, so when I'm coming past Bellows and coming down the street, in the car that I'm in right now, you got traffic from the other way.
Right.
So you play chicken with the traffic. So her car, she had a.
And that goes back to her request for
Yeah,
one
so,
way.
so I think it was 3 or
Yeah.
4 years ago, she had a red SUV, they got told because someone hit it, right there,
Yeah.
so now she has her Ford Explorer that she's just bought last year, they hit her mirror.
Yeah.
So that's why people are parking on the side, cause they're trying to get over, cause it's two-way traffic, so I just wanna reiterate on the statement that I think we need to consider that.
Hold on just a second, Deb. I do wanna reiterate that I think I understood our police department or code enforcement with the mayor, we're going to put together something, some kind of notice to the residents and we can put that on the Facebook page.
Yeah, Mountain View
for
Partnership,
Mountain
I
View.
mean,
We can put it on the
They shared
website.
my post. I don't even get the daily news, so, like
Right,
you
I don't
said, we
either.
only got 2,500 residents, so simple thing in 2024, 2025.
I
You know, the
understand.
Mountain View Borough, I just went there because I wasn't on the page, they share meeting minutes. Just share a new ordinance and, you know, we'll get the word out, and then, or we can put it at the Y store, put a flyer at the Y store. We only got a couple of businesses
Is that
that
something
people
you-
frequent Rashid's.
Okay.
We just gotta operate a little bit better,
I
I
know,
think, in
because
2025.
I agree, and if we notify our residents, we don't usually get dispute. It's just the education and
That's it.
the understanding.
Yeah, because they didn't
Especially when
know.
we're changing a practice,
Yeah.
so I got it, I
And
got
then
it.
on- and then
So
on
we're
the
gonna
years
move on
back-
from that subject.
I have one more question.
We have to look here.
Why is there discrepancy in the amount of tickets?
That I can't answer, I mean, that's why I asked her to contact Marsh.
There's different
You
laws
still on the
in
board.
different
Well, then, I feel like we need to know, in terms of council, we need to know what's going on there.
Well, do you wanna ask Marsh?
Hey, I'm sure.
I have a question.
I don't think anybody's disputing what was voted on for the ticket amounts, Alec. I think what they're asking is why she got a ticket with 2 boxes checked that made her bill 70 instead of 35, and I can't answer because I haven't seen her ticket, and I know that Marsh can answer for her.
There's actually a copy in that appeal envelope, and I'll bring you the originals that I have.
I wasn't understanding Jen.
Well, Joan was asking why there's 2 boxes checked, right?
No, I was asking why is there discrepancy in the amount of the tickets?
There's not a discrepancy.
Someone said it was $40 ticket, and then someone else said it's $35 ticket.
These are
Yeah, there
two-
might be 2 or 3 car links between the cars, so we're
There's
just
two-
curious.
Yeah, thank you. No, now Okay, go ahead, Marty, while they're checking that out.
My question is, from a council perspective, this is 2025.
Correct.
We've had a part-time.
Maybe they gave them 2
and
offenses because they had 2 cars.
enforcement officer and reported to police, but now we got a code enforcement officer giving out tickets. So I need to clarify.
Exactly.
And I went to the class, so I know it can't fall under the police, so how is just this year, he's giving out tickets?
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer as best I can half of that, okay? The half of it that I can answer, I think, and you guys, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is we have a code enforcement officer ordinance right now. Correct?
When to get paid?
It's not done? Oh, so how do we know what's in your job description?
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Told by who?
If we didn't get
And,
that,
and, wait, and we do now have a parking zone, you remember, it was changed by the ordinance committee
it's an appeal
this
right now,
past
we just
year,
got it.
and
I
we
put it
voted
in
to
on
approve the
Sunday.
changes that were made,
So-
for new ordinance for parking. If you weren't here, Marty, I don't know.
I was up there.
I can't answer what
And
one
I went to a
was,
class.
but it was done.
Code can't fall under the police, so I need to clarify.
The code, that's the half that I'm not gonna talk about, the half I'm trying to talk about
We're gonna talk
is.
about it.
Marty,
Look, we're talking about committees, and we don't even know who the officers are yet, and then the committees could be changed, depending on who the president is.
that's exactly right.
No,
So,
I know.
that's exactly right, Marty, you're exactly right on that. But the piece I'm trying to make is that in the parking ordinance that was passed by this borough council this past year, it indicates that the code enforcement officer has the authority to issue parking tickets, am I correct? Okay, that doesn't mean he's under the police department, as you might be thinking, under the police department. And I don't wanna go off on that, I'd rather have the solicitor speak to that issue, because I'm not qualified.
And I think that's what you should do.
And I think I'll
Because
ask the
there's definitely
solicitor to speak
conflict
to
right
it.
here.
Okay,
Our code of ordinances had several spots where it gave the authority to the code enforcement officer to issue tickets. So you have independent authority under each of those little components to issue tickets. When we were looking at it, when Alec asked about doing a more global ordinance, when I looked at the book of ordinances, we don't have a general skeleton saying, these are the umbrella things where the code officer can issue tickets. The parking example, she's correct, he's allowed to do that under that specific ordinance, that's those little cubby holes. So when I started to draft this big broad ordinance about where the code officer has authority to issue tickets, that's when we got into this whole debate over whether that should be categorized as part of the police department, so they could use that same, number, ORI number, or whether he would get his own independent number and remain outside the police department. It was council's vote in December to move in the direction of putting it as part of the police department, not as a police officer or part of the police department, but code being categorized within that larger category.
I'm gonna stop you just for a second, Larry, because I was at that meeting,
Okay.
and we have an email from you, and that agreement was for you to research
Right.
and draft an ordinance relative to the code enforcement officer.
Which I've not finished yet.
Which you, of course, so you told us it wouldn't be done early. It was not,
So
whether or not, it was not to put the code enforcement officer under the police department. That was not what that was for.
That's right.
That was for another investigation.
These tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be
Cancel
knowledgeable.
the-
That's a
That's
separate
another
subject. The code
That's
enforcement
only
officer,
if he was-
whether or not he's under the police department, that position has the authority to issue parking tickets under the parking ordinance. That's the bottom line. That's a give, that's a for sure. It's the issue of what we agreed to do relative to this desire by some members, the desire by some members of this council to have code enforcement have an ORI number, either a limited access one or to use the police forces one, which they cannot do, is my understanding. Did I get that correct?
They can
He
use the
cannot.
police, he can if you pass the ordinance, but the ORI is still limited access, only for code enforcement issues only. So the categorization under the department doesn't make him a police officer, it gives him limited authority to access information as part of that larger umbrella. That was the debate, and it was my understanding, before I spent all your money, that that ordinance was to accomplish having that limited access under the police department's ORI, but not giving him, he's not a police officer, he doesn't have any arrest authority, he cannot access criminal information. Like, for example, if you don't have the an ORI, you can't even access name, address, like basic statistical information that may be held by the police department. If that ordinance would be approved, it would allow him to get basic statistical information to do his job. And because all that criminal information is protected and secure, that's why the chief or the acting officer has to be in charge to make sure that no data is breached that isn't other than that specific little bit of information. And our police department is audited, I think approximately every 2 years or so, to make sure that all those protocols would be followed. So that's how we got to this long journey to get to where we are now, where I was asked to research. And Marley was at the conference with me. We asked the professor, and Jeanette also, there aren't any communities in our area that we can find that do it that way. The instructor said it is acceptable under law, and when I talked to the officer who's in charge of our district, the state policeman who monitors this for our area, he said it's something that I would encourage you to look at. You don't have to do it, you can do it if you wish. So and then I said I'll quote a price, $1,000 to call some boroughs. I'll call Tom Fontaine at State College Borough. He's big into statewide borough politics and the administration, and just ask them, what are you guys doing? And then put something together that reflects something that will work for our small community. So I know I spend too much time saying too many words, but I want you guys to understand, it's not making him a police officer, it's just giving him limited access to information to do his job.
Now,
I still don't think the borough, I don't think he should have access to it. I don't think the code enforcement act should have access to any of it.
And if that's
But
the
at any
case,
rate,
if that's the case,
we need to
then,
sign a petition right now.
but if that's the case, he has no ability to file a citation at the district justice office, that would have to be filtered through the police department.
I'm gonna go back.
No, it isn't finalized.
No, there's nothing finalized. This council did not vote to give him, grant the code enforcement
Exactly.
officer position an ORI. We did not vote on that specific motion.
Cause if we had to do more research.
We voted
Through
to
the
give Larry
solicitor.
permission to do research. That's what we voted on.
Well, don't we think as a community, and I'm a taxpayer, so I'm speaking from taxpayer perspective. also. Don't you think the first thing our community, here we need is a full-time police complement? That's the first thing we need to do. And get that straight, before we go on and give somebody else some
Exactly.
authority. And someone that, I'm not even gonna go there yet.
All right, we're gonna move on beyond this subject,
One
now
last
that we're
question.
all
I
on the
just
same
want
page.
Can someone produce for me this week, cause I gotta get it to my attorney, I wanna get, the ad that whoever came up with this drafted it to the Daily News.
The ad for what?
Whatever,
was no
it had to
ad.
be listed,
There was no
it
ad.
had to be listed to enforce it, you can't just,
The
to
ordinance
enforce it, I want,
Are you talking
wherever
about
the
the
no,
parking?
the notice about the parking,
Oh,
where was
Taylor
that
did
at,
that.
I want that.
It was not
Wait.
It was an ordinance.
We were passing an ordinance, right? Didn't it have to be advertised?
That wasn't completed.
It wasn't completed.
Was
That's
it
no offense,
advertised?
completed.
I advertised the ordinance.
Ordinance,
Oh, you
but I
did?
didn't
I
advertise.
advertised the parking ordinance.
That's what-
If you're
that's what
talking
he's
about
asking
giving
for.
residents notice they're gonna get tickets, we don't have to advertise that, and it wasn't advertised.
We were told,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the ordinance itself.
Yeah.
We're not talking about okay, wait, everybody.
It was told that it was put in the newspaper.
It was put in the newspaper that the parking ordinance would be in existence in 2024 as revised, that's correct.
And that was
That's
not-
what you guys, and that was in the newspaper, that's correct.
As we are required to do.
That's all that it was required, and there's no other reason for the posting.
That's correct, there's no other requirement, and that ad always says you can contact the borough office, I forget what the language
I
says.
thought you meant that I run an ad with the
No,
newspaper
no,
ticketing, cause I
it's
didn't
not.
run that ad, just to be clear.
So we're gonna move on beyond this subject, are there any other visitors wishing to speak?
Brian, you can do it right to know.
Excuse me, okay, go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Chris Witzel. I was here to update you on the current timber sale that's going on up at Singer's Gap. As you know, the current contract expires here on February 7th, 2025. We did a year extension last February.
That's correct.
The contractor knows that this is due to expire. All equipment, everything will be moved off-site. Of course, he will not get the contract finished, but he will work up till that day. Currently, as of December 16th, that timber sale up there has generated $45,768.78.
What timber sale are you referring to?
The Singer's Gap, the only one you have going on.
We haven't received that kind of money this year.
Yeah, that's been since 20.
Oh, so
All the years
you're
together.
citing numerous years.
This is the entire length of the contract.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood.
It started back on September 26th, 2022.
Exactly, so
Yes.
that's been in
For
2 years.
I said yes, for the whole time of the contract, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. There'll still be an additional revenue up until February 7th. I know there's still some more checks that'll be due yet, but then that contract will expire on February the 7th.
That's right.
Yes. I saw in the newspaper that you guys are looking for another forester. I don't know, most people on the council is new. Do you know that you have a signed consulting agreement with me that was signed by a past president?
That's correct, and we know that it was extended for 1 year.
No, excuse me, that is completely separate. That's the timber sale that was extended for 1 year. I have a separate consulting forester agreement with the Borough Council
Okay,
for any forestry kind of work.
and okay, well, that's good.
So yeah, saying that, I'm still your current forester.
Yes, you are.
Just wanted to go over some accomplishments that why I was here that people may not know about. I don't know if anybody knows where that property even is, has ever looked at the management plan or anything that has been put into that property. But I did I created a whole management plan that you guys were provided a bound copy with. We did a timber sale at Dark Hollow. We did a salvage operation for the dying hemlock. That was back in 2018. The borough got $12,503 from that project. Combined with what's going on up at Singer's Gap, that means the borough has gotten paid over $58,000 in timber sale money since October of 2018. These timber sales did not generate a large sum of money, but they've done with proper silviculture practices and the health for future timber sales. I obtained a right-of-way with Larry's help through the Silver Mine Hunting Camp. Again, I don't know if anybody knows, but you had no access to that property whatsoever other than through by the reservoir. And that access takes you to the water and that's it. You can't access any of the other property. So we were able to get a deeded right-of-way across Silver Knob Hunting Camp for any future timber operations that we secured that.
What, I paid $3,000 for that?
We did, yeah, it's a one-time fee. a one-time fee. Otherwise, you would have not been able to do any work up there because there was no access into that property.
We paid for it.
Yes, you did. Yep. That came out of the money that the contractor had to pay that as part of his contract. So that was part of the deal. We did almost $53,000 in road improvements. That was no cost to the borough. Again, that was all the part of the contract. Again, these roads were completely inaccessible, and now they're a limestone road back through. We enrolled the property in the Game Commission Hunter Access Program. I don't know if anybody knew that was done, but it is enrolled in the Hunter Access Program. I did keep, I know I wasn't here every month, but I did keep Rodney Fleck updated with emails. I don't know whether he shared any of that stuff or not, but I did update him as we progressed with emails. If you do not wish to move forward with my services, number 4 in the contract says that if that agreement is to be terminated by either party, it has to be terminated within 60 days of written notice. So again, I don't know if I would like to continue. There are a lot of things that we could still do. I have read in the paper that, money is an issue, that you're looking at trying to get some more. There's a lot of other options up there. I have talked to another, I guess I'll call it an operation, who's looking to do an easement. I just worked with a company up in Center County, and they did an easement. There are a lot of possibilities up there on that property, being where it's at. It's surrounded by Game Commission, it's surrounded by DCNR property. There are different avenues that we could pursue, and I'm very interested in going through those, but again, if I don't know if I have to go through the formal process that's in the paper to continue my term.
Any forester who wants to apply, that's why we advertised it.
Then someone would need to provide me with a notice that my contract is gonna expire, and I have 60 days, and I've never received that.
Okay, so first of all, we're not obligated to have a contractor on February 7th to replace you. I mean, a forester to replace you that day, right? There's no, so we can give you a 60-day notice whenever we want.
Yes, that's correct.
There's no extension to your contract.
There's no deadline on my contract.
Right, so we will, if you aren't granted that contract, then you will get a 60-day notice. If you apply, just like any other forester, you know what I mean?
No, I don't, because I wasn't told any of this. I just know by what I read in the paper.
And Chris, I will tell you, you haven't been to a meeting for a long time, this meeting.
I agree.
Okay, so you wouldn't know if you're not attending the meetings, and I'm not making you right or wrong for that. I appreciate you bringing all that information here for us. But the bottom line is, we do have the right to put the forester out to bid, which is what we're doing.
Yep.
And you have the right to apply to keep that position and have another contract started. It's not a guarantee. And that's what this council decided they wanted to do, was to put the forester out to bid.
Yeah, I had heard that I was on the agenda for last meeting, but no one's ever contacted me from this council whatsoever. There was supposed to be a subcommittee put together to go up and tour and look and see what was going on, but nobody here has ever contacted me
I
either
put you
to
on the
say.
agenda because Rodney said you requested to be on the agenda.
I was in Aruba on vacation.
That's the only reason why I put you on the agenda.
So
But I
that's
was
one of
just
the
thinking-
reasons why, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything that Rodney did or didn't do.
No, I'm not either.
Yeah,
Yep.
but, I recommend you stay in touch with, and Aaron is the new foreman.
Okay.
And he's here in the room. I suggest you make contact with him. Secondly, I suggest that you attend these meetings regularly while you are the forester, at least once a quarter. That's just my suggestion. If anybody has a different one. Anybody
Again,
else?
it works both ways. If anybody has questions, I mean, my phone number, I mean, you should have a copy of that agreement.
Chris, we're not making you wrong. We're simply putting the forester out for bid. That's a decision this council made.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. At the end of that contract then, are you aware that I have a 10% payment coming to me at the end of that contract? I've never received a dime for any of this yet, so per my contract, when this one expires in February, I'll have 10% due for all the revenues from that 10%. So whenever it's done, I'll have a bill to present for 10%.
That's what you'll get to do then,
That
yeah.
10%, yes.
Okay.
So.
You would do that every year, wouldn't you?
No,
If you
the
are
way
owed
this
10%.
contract was worded, it's not until the contract was completed. So this is the only contract. The Dark Hollow, I was already compensated for that one.
So the
because that-
contracts go, excuse, I just wanna
Yeah.
understand this, so the contracts go hand in hand or they don't go hand in hand?
No,
So you have one that
there's
doesn't
a
end
timber
in-
sale contract and there's a consulting forester agreement contract.
Right, and in my understanding is you're not only the consulting forester, but you also work for the contracting
I do,
company.
yes, yep, but there's
Okay.
two separate contracts.
So you're saying you wouldn't get a 10% until the other
I get a
contract's
10% when the
finished?
Singer's Gap timber sale is completed on February 7th.
Okay, right, and you're
Yes.
welcome to turn in your bill at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I still need to, even though I'm still currently the forester, I still need to submit everything that's in the newspaper to proceed.
That's my understanding, that all foresters will be looked at equally. And so you would be requested to submit everything that any forester who wants to apply.
That's why I don't understand, why am I resubmitting it if I'm still the active forester?
Because you're wanting to apply to.
I don't think you're
Oh.
understanding him, Cheryl.
Oh.
He has an open-ended contract, is what he's saying. Like,
My
you
contract
can't
has
get
an
rid of him unless you give him this notice.
60 days.
Before
Right, so we-
you have to give him the notice, the 60-day notice as his contract says.
I got that.
Before you can even get rid of him.
That I understand, Aaron, I'm very clear on that.
You can still interview.
We are still permitted to consider other foresters.
Right,
Which is
but
what we
it-
put in the newspaper.
He's confused on why he has to reapply if he's still, if he's still the acting forester.
Because to see if you're still interested in,
They
to
noticed
see if you're still
Hold on a
interested in
second, hold on a
continuing the
second,
job.
Jeanette.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, cause you got him confused.
Yeah, I'm not confused.
Not
If
you.
if you want to submit to remain and be the forester after, by the deadline that's in that advertisement, you're welcome to do that. You don't have to do that. But if you don't, then we're gonna be sending you a 60-day notice that your contract will be ending.
So
And then
if
you
I
can
would
do
have
it
came,
then.
I would have never known. That's fine, I'll resubmit it, it's just that.
But you did know, I saw you at Walmart and told you
Yes.
that we were putting
When I read it in the
advertisement
paper, you
newspaper.
said it's in the public, we're not gonna discuss this more in public, and I said, that's fine.
I was on the job.
You're right.
Yeah, correct, you brought it up.
That's not professional.
Yeah, so we
I
said we're not
brought it
gonna
up so
discuss
you
this.
would be informed, you just said you weren't
At
informed.
Walmart.
Yeah, that's unprofessional.
Sir, if you didn't want me to bring it up to you at all, I didn't have to. You wanted to talk about it further, and I said, I can't do that on the job.
I didn't. I was just making conversation,
Okay.
yeah, I will resubmit.
So how did you end up with an open-ended contract?
It was signed, you have a copy, I mean, I have my copy, but you guys have a copy
We
as
do,
well.
I have a copy of it.
If he got an open-ended contract.
There's
It's
just
an
no,
open- We have to give him 60 days notice to end the contract.
Correct.
Which is reasonable, that's what was agreed to.
yes,
And that's what we would do.
We would do.
Did Rodney sign the contract?
no, Carol.
We don't have to do that
Carol was
first.
president at the time.
What if we don't get any other bids? And he's, I'm just being
Yeah,
realistic.
I just was looking what I needed to do, so that's what I have to do, I'll resubmit it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, or you can take the chance, know what it is, and that your name would.
I'll just try to resubmit it.
Okay.
Taylor, if you need any of these numbers, I can't give you just copies, I made notes.
Okay, we're gonna move on. You can contact Taylor separately if you don't want. Are there any other visitors wishing to speak? Yes, go ahead. And state your name.
Darrell Francis. I wanted to comment on a few things real quick, if I may. It goes back to the wards. We have 3 wards in Mount Union. I was wondering, one time when Ronald Leonard, wanted to apply, he was told he was in the wrong ward. But I think if we disbanded those 3 wards and just became one borough, number one, we wouldn't have all this animosity going on between different wards, 1 ward, 2nd ward, 3rd ward. Jeanette said that at the last meeting about the community coming together. That's what's missing here. We seem to forget about what community is. It's all about coming together in unity. That's our problem here tonight in other meetings I've come to. It's been like a circus without a tent. So if we disbanded the wards, because the last time we were here, we had a young lady who applied. Come to find out she didn't meet the requirements. They bashed Cheryl Marino on the post I'm reading on my phone. But if she hadn't looked into that, a young lady who was approved by the council, voted on, she didn't have the right address, I believe, name, or you have to be a resident from 1 year, if I remember correctly, in order to be, even interested to get on the council. But she was approved, and if Cheryl hadn't did the job that she did, she would have been ineligible for real in there, I think, if I'm correct here.
You are correct. She was found ineligible because she was not a resident of the borough for at least 1 year. And in fact, I don't even know if she is a resident of the borough yet.
So I commend you for looking into it.
Thank you.
You know? So that brings back to why can't any resident of this community apply for a seat on the borough as long as they are a resident, whether they live in Flat Ward 1, Flat 2, up to Ward 2 or Ward 3.
Because we do have wards right now. That's legally how we're structured right now.
I think
I'll let
Hun-
you speak to the issue.
I think we're one of the last boroughs that have wards, if I'm not mistaken, in this area.
Hollingsburg has 7 wards, I live in the 4th ward, it happens, here's the situation.
Mhm.
Under law, we're set up by wards, we have 3 wards, 3 council members in each ward.
Mhm.
The law allows, and I know we're gonna get into this big fat debate, how do we reduce the size?
No,
You can do
no.
it by petition to reduce the number of people in each ward. So there was a proposal discussed where we do 2 members from each ward and then 1 at-large representative. The problem with changing the wards is that the law only allows us to go from 9 to 7 at one clip, so that would be the first thing. The second thing is that my general advice was that I think that it would be racially discriminatory to get rid of the wards because you're going to dilute the voting power of black people in the borough.
That's right.
And theoretically, they could never win if all white people voted against them. So the ward, I think that could be challenged in federal court if we eliminated the ward. So.
That wasn't what I was going after. What I was saying is,
But if you have the wards, then you have to be a member of that ward to serve. That's the law. We can't change that. So, let's just be flexible. We'll move someone from the 1st ward to sit on the 3rd ward. No, the law doesn't work that way. If you're a 3rd ward resident, and I just want to clarify, if you're gonna be a member of council, 2 things. You gotta live there for a year, and you have to be a registered voter. Those are the 2 qualifications. So, and I guess the young lady was a registered voter, I don't know that, but the thing was, she hadn't lived here a year, so under law, she was ineligible to serve, and we did the right thing because she wasn't eligible to be on that.
And I wanna clarify, in her defense, she may not have even known. I was in no way making her wrong. I was simply coming forward to say, nobody lives in that house.
no, I'm glad you did, because if you hadn't have done it,
every
she
member
would
of
have been
council
on
said,
council.
absolutely,
That's what I
we're
was
gonna do
saying.
the right thing. It
But
wasn't-
getting back to what I was saying before, you took over, the wards, I think, do create separatism, because from what I understand, 1st ward, once again, for mainly blacks, but now we're all mixed in together. That's why we should be just one
No,
borough.
the first ward was blacks and Italians.
For the flats.
And things in the flats.
Created
The
separatism.
second
That's what I'm
ward-
saying.
The 2nd ward had a few blacks. The 3rd ward had a couple blacks, which was
Right.
like, I can't think of the name, the Williams that was up on the hill. And then
Hampton
JoJo
Hill.
Loner and them moved up there. That's how it is. A separation comes, and when they don't have any representation from black, it's gonna be a problem. Cause this lawyer is gonna fight it. And I truly
So-
mean
Not me,
it.
the
That's
lawyer,
what I'm,
the lawyer.
huh?
That's what I
This is
said.
why I'm saying, they need to be careful what they say, because it goes in the newspaper. It goes in the newspaper, and it's the negativity that affects Mount Union.
That's right.
I don't care whether you like me or not. As Maya Angelou says, and still I rise. I still get up and I
agree with
rise,
that.
and I still
That's
fight
what I'm
for
talking
the
about,
community.
unity. That's what
Okay.
we need here.
Okay, you guys, we're gonna stop,
Okay.
we're gonna
But
stop.
we need
Wait, Jeanette, we're gonna stop right now. I heard you, I heard him. We appreciate your input and your opinion, but as it stands right now, we have 3 wards with 3 people per ward, and that's how it must be under our ordinance. That's how it's structured. We can't change that without a proper petition
Okay,
and without going through the legal process. So that subject is closed. I appreciate your opinion though.
And
I
you
really
can't,
do.
just one final,
Okay.
you can't change it to all no wards, but there's a process that's followed. I was asked to send the status of the law to Nathan. He wanted to see how you did the petition. It's not my job as borough solicitor to tell people how to write those petitions and to make sure they comply with the law. I never saw the petition before several days ago, and I said, it has to be specific. You've gotta tell the people signing, this is what we have to do, X, Y, and Z. This is what we're proposing. Then we would have to have a public hearing, and then we would have an ordinance that would reduce over time, reduce council. One final point on that is that anyone who currently sits on council cannot be eliminated from that process. They would serve their full term, so it would be something that would take several years to accomplish.
So can I move on? 'Cause I don't think I got my 3 minutes. Other people talked for a while, and only got maybe a minute and a half before, someone interjected.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
What I was trying to say also is, we don't have a borough manager. This was brought up before. But we do have a young lady here, Taylor, who's been like pretty much the acting borough manager in here. She's been doing more than just her secretarial duties. I believe things have been put on her, such as she's now the contact person with Larry Lashinsky here. We also was told that she does a lot of things besides her duties. I'm wondering, do these people that do extra get compensated for that? Because I think she should be entitled to that. Because if you look at it, she saved the borough probably, what's the borough manager get, $50,000, $60,000? We haven't had one in 2 years. So I look at it as she's saving us, doing extra work, and should she be entitled to more? I think so. That's what anybody who thinks they get more than what they should be doing, what their duties require. That's how I look at that. So that's something I think you borough council members should look at.
Thank you.
Last but not least, I think I got maybe 1 minute left, and I'll go through this fast. On my post, and I want to read from real quick if I can find it. It's a post on someone named Francis Polk that says, "I've been quiet about some time of the bullshit, for lack of a better term, that some fellow council members have been pulling. Time and time again, they continue to prove that there are no boundaries when it comes to railroading and their own agenda. I fully support Ms. Krepp, who was the 19-year-old lady who gave the false information on her request on serving her community. I'm embarrassed because our acting president decides to do as she pleases." Now, for this person to say fellow council members, I believe it has to be a member of council. Francis Polk, I don't think really exists, because I went on this page and the person I seen on there was Alex Grindle, who had proceeded to put up new profile pictures, new profile pictures, new profile pictures. Also on that same page, I saw a disturbing picture. I'm going to show it to people because during the last week or two, I asked other people about what they felt about this picture. I found it disturbing. You can give me your report on this.
Let me see. Oh my God.
What is
That is the exact same response I got from the people that I questioned around here.
It's Krampus.
I know what it is. I did my research also. He's like a counterpart from St. Nicholas. It's the German version of him. But he's a daemon, he's a Satanist, and on here it depicts to me child abuse. Pulling her hair, putting her back, horns, and the tongue. I don't care what you give me as an explanation, it's supposed to be for the bad children at Christmas time. We in America, they get coal in their stockings. In Germany, who they believed in the Holocaust and persecuting Jews, we don't believe in that here.
And hanging blacks.
Well, we don't have to go that far, but it's just that, I understand, but I'm just saying, I think it's appalling that one of our council members would post something like that. Just like at the gas, I heard of it.
Sharon, I'm gonna stop you from defending him. He can speak for himself. Alec, is that your email? Francis Polk. Okay, so you did attack me on social media as the acting president.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, you did.
It's not the first time.
And this is the person that someone wants to nominate to be our president
That's
of
right.
council.
Absolutely.
So now I've spoken. Sharon, what do you have to say now? Go ahead.
And it's a German tradition, and
We're not German, we're in America here.
It was Krampus. As a matter of fact, I had a Krampus.
Oh, you okay with
it? So you okay with it,
it-
Sharon? That's what you're saying?
You can go off all you want.
I think that's your
Are you done now?
It's just like,
Who put that
No, okay, you guys, we're gonna stop. We're all done. Darryl, are you completed? Thank you for sharing.
I think I'm done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Derek,
Darryl, Francis.
Are there any other visitors
Oh my
wishing to
God.
speak?
fairy tale.
I just wanna say, I got to say this, this is shocking. I work in the prison. You know, if, I'm shocked, okay, I don't understand all of that, but I'm shocked. When people are threatened, like for children, you know, they go to jail. They go to jail. That's not funny. That's not funny at all. And to me, that's like totally out of line.
Sure.
I like Alex as a person, so don't misunderstand me. But that's enough for him to be removed.
It isn't enough for him to be removed.
Huh?
Under law, it's not enough, his personal.
Okay, that's
views have
fine, I'm
nothing
just
to
saying
do
my
with-
personal opinion. I'm just so shocked.
I'm just saying that under law, that does not meet the standards.
Okay, we're gonna move on, everybody. Item number 6, is executive session, it's for personnel matters, and, we'll return when we're done.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
be here.
I gotta post a disclaimer, I can't represent no insurance agency, do that.
Okay, all right.